West African forces have already arrived in Monrovia, so hopefully the carnage will settle down soon. Joining us now from Houston is Dr. K.A. Paul, who's just back from Liberia and is trying to help children who have lost their parents over there. His website is globalpeacenow.com. All right, Doctor, I've been watching video coming in all day from Liberia. Everybody has a gun. Everybody has a gun, all right? People are walking around, they're looting, they're doing everything. Now, Americans are very concerned about sending U.S. troops in there because of Somalia and Mogadishu. Can you reassure them?
Let me assure you one thing for sure. First of all, we are dealing with a great problem in Africa with more than 1 million children who are on the streets picked up by these Al-Qaeda and other networks, giving them little food and drugs and guns and rifles to shoot at. That's why our organization, we are in 40 of the 53 countries, picking up those street children. With 310,000 street children already, families have been inspired to taken off the streets. This week, we have taken 2 major street children completely off the streets. So we have to solve the major problem of the street children. Literally 10 million street children we have in that country, I'm sorry, in the continent. So that's another day for another program. But let me assure you this. Now we have the peacekeepers in Liberia, and now the things will, as I mentioned on your program last show, what everybody's saying is not true. President Taylor, I spoke to him again 4 times in the last 24 hours, and the future president of that country twice. We will commit to what I have committed already.
All right, so look, all right, fine. He's going to go. We don't know when he's going to go, but we assume he'll go. He's a war criminal. The UN has indicted him as such. He'll go to Ghana. Fine. But the problem is the United States forces, for us, you know, look, everybody feels bad about Africa. All right, nobody wants kids to be orphans and kids in the street being abused. Nobody wants that. We can't solve that problem. We can't solve it. But we have to protect our people, and now our people are going in there. So what are they going into, Doctor? You were just there. You just came back. What are they stepping into?
I've been there for the last 3.5 weeks, in and out. I don't think it is Iraq where American troops are going to be killed. You see what happened yesterday and day before yesterday when African troops arrived. They were rejoicing and receiving them. Liberians are very peaceful people. The rebel leaders are the problem. Let me tell you, I've spent days and hours. Matter of fact, I'm the only person dealing with all 5 parties. I got them on their knees, both Muslims and so-called Christians, laid hands. I would say even cast the demons out of some of them. I had even a fight with the general who is killing all, who ordered many of the innocent killings. We have a wonderful time with them, talking to them, praying with them. I can assure you now, I even just spoke to those rebel leaders 30, 40 minutes ago. So they have committed for a ceasefire, which they are observing.
So you're telling me that they're not going to shoot at American troops. Nobody's going to shoot at American troops? Everybody's got a gun. Nobody's going to shoot at American troops?
Here is, Bill, there will not be any American casualties in Liberia. There will not be, because both rebel groups and the government forces all have assured me. I know it is a big commitment when I stand on behalf of them.
Because you've got a lot of thugs running around Monrovia right now, and they're heavily armed. Now, look, I'm hoping you're right. I'm hoping you're right. I don't think Bush has been wrong in being very cautious because of what happened in Somalia. I'll give you the last word.
I don't blame President Bush. I believe he should be very careful, especially what is happening even in Iraq. But I think it is a different day, different situation. Now we have ECOWAS troops and a lot of prayer going on, and a lot of things are happening in a positive way. Next Monday, we'll have the president step down and new president sworn in, which I'll be doing the spiritual ceremony of that. And as people are continually praying, I think it will be very smooth landing and smooth transaction. Well, let's hope so, Doctor, and we appreciate you coming on. I know you're very busy back and forth, and we'll pray with you. We hope nobody else gets hurt over there. Thanks very much. Thank you.
When we come back,
was the man responsible? Before he travels to the Middle East next week, he is here with us in studio. And Dr. Paul, it's nice to have you. It's interesting. I've heard about some of your endeavors behind the scenes, but you're one of those folks who you don't hear about often, who's a pivotal player in world events, and it's great to see you here. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
What do you make of what happened today in terms of the peace process? You are planning to talk to members of Hamas, Hezbollah, some of these others. Do you think you can make a difference?
As a humanitarian, I am responsible to do everything I can do to convince these people. I have spent numerous hours with these leaders in the past several years as I've extensively traveled to the Middle East. You know, enough is enough. I don't understand when these two parties will understand.
How do you think you can make a difference? Because so many people have tried, and you've had some successes. A lot of people never thought Charles Taylor would ever step down.
Matter of fact, on CNN, Margaret Thatcher said last Sunday, Charles Taylor was worse than Saddam Hussein. But everything is possible. You know, I have spent 51 phone conversations, more than 100 hours with him, prayed with him, convinced him, dealt with his heart. Actually, he never wanted to leave to Nigeria even 24 hours before. That's why President Obasanjo never came to pick him up. But I said, for the sake of people of Liberia, for the sake of peace, stability, there need to be compromise. And he made a serious compromise by leaving Liberia and going to Nigeria. I believe at the same time, with enough is enough. I told Chairman Arafat year 2000, he said, you would never get a better offer than what Ehud Barak was offering you.
And many people say that was the best offer he's ever got.
He will never get, and they even said, you will not be even treated as a leader. That's exactly what happened.
So what happens now, though, to the
peace
process?
You know, I think there may be a change needed, even in the, just like there is a change in the leadership in Palestine, there may be a personal change needed in the leadership of Israel, in my opinion, because there are some personal grudges between these leadership, and they are taking it to at the cost of innocent lives, and enough is enough.
But then what is Israel supposed to do when they have a horrible bombing with 21 people killed on a bus, many civilians? I mean, they have to respond.
There is no question in my mind what Israel is trying to do to prevent further attacks are justified. At the same time, you just like said, if they kill one or two leaders, what about 2,000 are coming up? When is enough is enough? Who is paying the price? Innocent people are dying, suffering, Israelis and Palestinians.
And it is a difficult situation. You talked about Liberia. I want to get to that before we wrap up. One of the letters, and I think this is fascinating that we got a copy of, this is an unpublished letter that was sent to the New York Times. And I think many people don't realize the role you played with Charles Taylor. You spoke with him. He credited you for stepping down. I want to read a quote. It says, the reason I chose to step down was because of a man named Dr. K.A. Paul. It was out of deference to him and his belief that this was the right thing to do for the people of Liberia that I ultimately resigned. Were you shocked that he actually did it? And here he's crediting you.
No, actually, we have planned this for 35 days. Nobody believed me. New York Times, major newspapers all over the world calling me and asking me, will he ever step down? Nobody believed when I committed. He became a changed man. His heart was transformed. His life was transformed. He even left his 2 Muslim wives publicly in my rally. And never anything happened to him like that. But you know what? People do not believe in change. Even the so-called people say we are Christians, but when the real change takes place, the leadership does not understand there is a real change in Charles Taylor's life, and for which he stepped down and left the country. And leaving the country, the ECOWAS chairman said it would never happen.
Unfortunately, do you want to hear, and this is very troubling, we're just getting across on the wires right now, Dr. Paul, that 1,000 people have been killed today in Liberia. So the situation, unfortunately, and this is coming from Liberian State Radio, so it sounds like Charles Taylor is gone, but the problem is still very much existing.
That's exactly what I told on Bill O'Reilly's show when he asked me, when should troops come in? I said, Charles Taylor should not leave until there are proper troops. If he would have stayed, these killings would have not been total. In the last 1 year, there have not been 1,000 killings. Now why? There is no proper leadership. And all these people, 18 people that I met with, all of them want to become president for 4 million people. They don't care about the innocent people. I think there were mistakes made, and Taylor left. Now the responsibility on the shoulders of ECOWAS and U.S. leadership.
Now, what happens with Charles Taylor? Because Charles Taylor has said, I may come back. In fact, it was interesting. I mean, he's in Nigeria, as you pointed out, not where he wants to be, but where he is. And he even said when he left, I'll be back.
You know what? He called me a few hours ago, and tears in his eyes, even though I didn't see him face to face. What he's going through is tough times. But he has listened, called me as a spiritual mentor to counsel him. I said, President Taylor, if you die, you die. If you face war crimes, you cry. But the most important thing to me is now peace in Liberia. And the people are starving and dying, and we as humanitarian organization are asking people to do everything they can to raise some money and to help.
Well, we very much applaud your efforts. And in fact, again, as troubling news coming down, we're hearing 1,000 people killed, according to Liberian State Radio. Dr. Paul, thank you very much. We applaud your efforts. And also, if anyone's interested, be sure to visit. You've got a website, www.globalpeacenow.com. And we thank you very much for being here, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. And coming up, we're going to